start with today's session. Till now, we have finished. Let me open this Power BI architecture. So till now, we have finished some introductory classes for regarding the total architecture we have covered. Then we have primarily focused on the Power View module. We have covered all the contents related to Power View module, and now from today onwards we are going to start with Power BI service. Power BI service. So today, so today, I will be discussing on, this is class one. This is the agenda for today's class. So today I will be focusing on introduction to the Power BI service. We'll see at a high level on-premise. What do you mean by on-premise? What do you mean by cloud? Regarding licensing types, what are the licensing types in Power BI service? How one should log on to the Power BI service? What will be the project flow in a Power BI? Like starting right from the start of the project to the end of the project. What are the steps? How the project flow would go? And then what Power BI service topics we are going to consider in the future classes that we are going to see into this. So this all will be covered in today's lecture, guys. So before I start in with this Power BI service, let me just give you a quick glimpse of like what we have discussed in the introductory session when we had a demo session. Like we have primarily focused on this Power BI architecture. This Power BI architecture. So in this Power BI architecture, on the left-hand side, if you see, we have got OLTPs. OLTP stands for online transactional processing. Online transactional processing. So I'm just talking about the data sources. So basically, whenever a business is started, whenever a business is there, let's imagine there is a business, there is an ABC company. This company is this company is like Flipkart. It deals into those things, e-commerce things. So it will be doing the business. While doing the business, it will generate some kind of business data. That business data would be generated. That business data, whatever generated, this business data would be the transactions in the business. That transactional data, it would be stored in some kind of data sources, some kind of data sources. So these data sources, the business data, which is generated from the business, it will be stored into some kind of data sources. Those data sources, it can be Excel files, it can be SQL Server, it can be Oracle. It depends purely on the business, guys, like what data sources they want to choose. So majorly they will be focusing on SQL Server and Excel files. It may be SAP HANA also. Many data sources are there. So here OLTPs are there. These are the data sources where the business will be storing the business data. So now this OLTP stands for online transactional processing. Online transactional processing. Now, whenever a business is started, okay, the business is started. Now there is a need for a business. There is always a need to get some insights, how good the business is doing, how bad the business is doing, what are the insights from that business. So for that, we need to have the business people need to get some kind of idea, like which of their product or which of their services is doing good, which of their services is doing bad. So for that purpose, they just initiate a Power BI project, because Power BI is a software where all the analysis would be done, where all this data, whatever the business data which is generated, that would be converted into some kind of actionable information through reports and visuals. So with the help of reports and visuals, this business data would be converted into some kind of actionable information, so that this business people can take some kind of actions onto top of those, onto getting some insights from these visuals. They would get some kind of idea. So Power BI basically is it majorly focuses on Power Query. We have got Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View. I have already explained this. So whatever data is required in order to generate these reports and visuals, only that data we need to move from Power Query to Power Pivot. only that data we need to move from Power Query to Power Pivot. So here we need to filter the data. Here we need to do the ETL activities. ETL activities is extract, transform, load. Extract, transform, load. We will be extracting some kind of files from here. We will be doing some kind of transformation onto this data, and I will be loading that data. I will be loading that data only which would be required in order to create these reports and visuals. So this I will be loading into Power Pivot. So finally in the Power Pivot, we will be getting the tables. We would be getting all the tables. We will be getting relationship for those tables, and those tables are only stores that information which is required for creating the reports and visuals. So in the Power Pivot, that is called as OLAP dataset, that is online analytical processing. So here, if some new information is asked by the clients, we will be generating the new information here with the help of some DAX language. Otherwise, we'll be using the existing information. But 99% of the time, there would be some kind of new information which is required. So that new information will be getting by enhancing the data model. We'll be getting with the help of DAX language here in this Power Pivot. So that DAX language would be extensively covered into Power Pivot. Some of the transformation or ETL activities that would be extensively covered into Power Query. And from this Power Pivot, on the basis of this data, we will be generating some kind of reports in the Power View. In the Power View, we will be generating that reports. That those reports would be responsible for getting the actionable information for the clients. So here, Power BI desktop don't have the capability to share the reports with the clients. It don't have the capability to share the reports with the clients. So what kind of how we will be publishing, how we would be saving, and how would be publishing those data, those reports and visuals with the help of Power BI service. With the help of Power BI service. Now, in order to share these reports and visuals with the clients, we are having two ways. We are having two ways. First one is Power BI service. First one is Power BI service. See here, both the ways we can publish the data with the help of Power BI service. We can publish the data with the help of Power BI report server. Also, we can publish the data. And by publishing here, from here, we'll get an advantage. We'll get a feature to share those information, those visuals with the clients. So here, sharing is there. From this Power BI service, we'll be sharing the reports, whatever reports we have developed from this data set. And from here also, so it depends. So but in the demo, what I have mentioned is 99%, around 99%, the business people, the company, the corporate people, they would be using this Power BI service only because it's a cloud one. It's a cloud one, and this is an on-premise one. This is an on-premise one. This is a cloud one. That's the difference between this. And from here, we'll be sharing these reports with the clients. So this was just a journey of a report from the desktop to the service. So let's start with the firstly with the definition of the Power BI service. Power BI service is a Azure cloud-based server. Which is used to share the reports with the clients. There is a symbol here, cloud. It's a cloud-based server, Azure cloud-based server. Azure cloud-based server, which is used to share the reports with the clients. So the primary purpose is to share the reports with the clients, and it is a cloud-based server. It is an Azure cloud-based server. We have got two products. One is Power BI Desktop, another is Power BI Service. In Power BI Desktop, we just only develop the reports. In the Power BI Desktop, we just develop the reports. In the Power BI Desktop, we just develop the reports. Let me just open this Power BI Desktop here. So in the Power BI server, in the Power BI service, we are just using the Power BI service for sharing the reports with the clients. But on the other hand, this Power BI Desktop would be used for developing the reports. So whenever I'm talking about sharing the report with the clients, we have got two ways here. We have got two ways. I've already discussed in this architecture. We have got two ways. One is Power BI service and another is Power BI report server. So Power BI service, it's a cloud-based server. And talking about the Power BI report server, it's an on-premise server. So what is happening now is whenever we are So I have already told you that 99% of the people uses the Power BI report. They'll be using the Power BI service for they'll be using Power BI service. They will be using this Power BI service for sharing the reports. Why less number of people will prefer this Power BI report server is, and why more number of people will prefer this Power BI service? Let's understand this, guys. Tomorrow. So in the so basically, whenever I'm talking about the Power BI report server software, let's talk deeply on this Power BI report server. Before that, let me give you some kind of idea on, like, tomorrow when you go for an interview, tomorrow whenever you'll go for a Power BI interview, you will be asked how you used to share the reports to the clients. That question would be definitely asked to you, that how you have shared the reports, how you used to share the reports with the clients. If you keep around like 3 years of experience, roughly you will keep around 3 projects in the CV. In the project, like 3 projects you will mention in the CV if you are roughly keeping around 3 years of experience. So how you will answer this question is, report is developed in the Power BI desktop. Report would be developed in the Power BI desktop. Okay, report would be developed in the Power BI desktop, and you used to save it, and then you used to publish it to the Power BI service. You used to publish it, you used to save that report in the Power BI desktop, and you used to publish it to the Power BI service, because majority of the companies will be using the Power BI service only. So this would be the perfect answer for the question. So let's talk about the on-premise server. So what is the difference between on-premise server and cloud-based server? So on-premise servers so on-premise server, whenever I'm talking about, this is an on-premise server, this is a cloud-based server. So on-premise server, whenever you want to go with the on-premise server is, first, first what you need to do. For example, you are a company. What you need to do is, you need to go to Microsoft and you need to buy the software called as Power BI Report Server. Firstly, being a company, you need to purchase some kind of, you need to approach to Microsoft and you need to buy the software called as Power BI Report Server. Let's say my company developed some report on the Power BI desktop. My company is planning to share the report using the on-premise server, like Power BI Report Server. I have developed the reports. Now I want to share it with the help of this Power BI Report Server. Let's imagine in this way. For buying the software, we need to pay money to the Microsoft. Initially, when we buy the software, we need to pay money to this Microsoft. Second thing is, you need to do this is, you need to buy one server you need to buy. In order to install this software, you need to have one computer. In companies, to install this server, we need to have some computers in the sense with huge RAM and which hard disk and with huge RAM. We need to get some computers and we need to utilize this computer for downloading this software, for installing this software called as Power BI Report Server. So let's take, like, for this Power BI desktop, for installing this Power BI desktop, Microsoft is charging anything from us or not? No, it is not charging. It is just a free software for us. Both Power BI service and Power BI report server are paid. So both of them are paid. These are licensed software. So talking about these two softwares, this Power BI service and Power BI report server, these both are the licensed software. In the Power BI desktop, we don't have to pay anything. We didn't. So development we can do on the basis of this Power BI desktop. But whenever it comes with the sharing those reports with the clients, we need to use any one out of it. So we are just understanding here what's the difference and which one is more preferable from these two options, like Power BI service is most preferable or Power BI report server is more preferable. So firstly, see, these two softwares are licensed software. They are not free software, first of all. Secondly, when we go with the Power BI report server software, we need to buy the server. Server means a huge RAM and hard disk in a computer, and it would be expensive. You need to spend a lot of money for this. You need to have some kind of infrastructure also. You bought one server, okay. To keep that server, you need some server rooms. You need some server rooms in order to install this server into the computers. You need to have an infrastructure for that. Not only server rooms, you need to have some networks for this. So you need to set up infrastructure for this you are required to spend a lot of money onto this, onto infrastructure you will be paying, onto this, onto the servers you will be paying, onto the computers with huge RAM and a huge hard disk you would be paying. So you bought one software, okay? You bought one software. You only have to install that software it in the server. You need to install the software in the server. You need to monitor the monitor the server by 24 by 7. You need to hire the admins for those. You need to hire some admins. So monthly salary should be paid to those admins. Admins, like they you would be, those admins would be expensive. You need to pay salary for those admins because you need to keep some admins in order to have a monitoring service onto this servers. So here, this one, so here, what is the disadvantage is a lot of initial cost you will have to pay. You will have to pay a lot of operational cost. So here, a lot of operational cost. Here, a lot of initial cost would be there. One admin can't monitor this whole system. One admin can't monitor server 24 by 7. You need to hire a couple of admins for this. So server rooms rent would be there for this. Server room rent would be there for this. Because of this, in order to save money, lot of companies are moving towards the cloud-based software, cloud-based server. Lot of companies are moving towards the cloud-based server. Now, for this Power BI service, we don't have to have any kind of infrastructure. We don't need any kind of servers with huge RAM or huge hard disk. We don't have those things. We don't have to install a server here. We don't have an infrastructure for this. We don't have to hire admins for this. We don't have to pay salary for those admins. So initial costing and the operational cost would be minimum for this. So for that, that's the only purpose. That's the only reason why many of the companies are looking towards the cloud-based server. So for on-premise, so let's say my company is using this Power BI report server. For on-premise server, everything should be taken care by our company only. For the first time, when I buy this Power BI report server, they give a version. For example, if I initially purchase this, these people will give me first. They'll give me the version one. So will our admin team would be there. They would be installing that. They install that version one in our server, and later on the Microsoft team release the version 2, because Microsoft team will be always releasing some kind of versions. Initially, the version 1 we have installed it, and our admins have installed those version in the server. After that, version 2 releases. They added new feature to this software. So they released version 2. Now, who need to install this version 2 is our company itself need to take care of it. No one, Microsoft will not take care of that version. That another version 2, we will be only, our company will be only installing that. Our admins needs to install that version 2 for this Power BI report server. Like this, everything like backups, restores, upgrading the servers, these all need to be taken care by our admins, our own company. So finally, what is the logic is, what is the, like, finally everyone is moving towards this cloud. That's why this cloud is more preferred. Now if you see, there are many, we have seen Power BI report server software. We need to buy servers. We need to buy servers, computer with huge RAM and hard disk. We need to set up infrastructure. We need to hire admins. A lot of initial cost and operational cost would be there. But when people will be preferring this Power BI service, it's a cloud-based server. So there are some kind of cloud-based cloud service providers in the market, guys. There are some kind of renowned cloud service providers in the market. So so these are like AWS is one of the cloud-based cloud service providers. It is from Amazon. Azure is something like which is provided by Microsoft. There is also called a GCD, which is from Google. So these are all the, so these cloud service providers will provide the servers and softwares on the rent. So in a simple language, what will happen is this cloud service providers, this will just provide the servers and softwares on the rental, guys. They will just provide this on the rental basis. So what Microsoft is doing is, it is just installing the software in some of the Microsoft servers. Both Power BI service, both Power BI service and server, both Power BI service and server together, they will provide on the rental basis. You just have to pay that and you have to use it. pay as you go option would be there from the Microsoft for this Power BI service option. So how much you are using, you can pay for that only. That is the option provided by the Microsoft here. In this case, no need to buy the software and server, no need to set up the infrastructure for the server, no need to hire the admins to take care of those servers. Monitoring and upgradations will be taken care by the cloud-based service providers only. By the cloud-based service providers only. If you want to use the Power BI service, user if anyone wants to use this Power BI service, per user you need to pay. Per user you need to pay only $14 per month. So only $14 per month you need to pay. If anyone wants to use this Power BI service, he just have to pay this $14 per month. It is, let's say there are some. So this is just a costing, and which is very much minimal as compared to the infrastructure, as compared to the staff members, as compared to the hiring the admins and maintaining the servers, maintaining the monitoring services and all those things. As compared to that, this service is very much less. This is a minimal costing which which is provided by the Microsoft. So if you want to use the Power BI service, per user you need to pay $14 per month. Per user cost this is. So let's say there are some 5 developers. Let's imagine there are some 5 developers. There are some 5 developers who are developing the report, and that reports needs to be shared with 95 clients. So there are like 95 clients, and there are some 5 developers, 5 Power BI developers that would be using this, that would be using the Power BI service. So 95 clients would be there, to whom we need to share the reports. Just for an example, we are just considering this. So we need to buy license for 100 people. So 95 people, 95 is for clients, 5 is for the developers. So 95 plus 5, around 100 license we need to purchase around. So we need to buy licenses for 100 people. So you need to just pay 100 into 14, like $1,400 per month you will be paying. Sorry guys, instead of like 95, let's take at 100 clients, because I have written here 100 clients. So 100 clients, with 100 clients, if we are sharing those reports, and we are around like 5 developers from the company, so company has to bear this costing of around like 105, 100 clients plus 5, 105 people, 105 license they need to purchase. So for one license it would be $14. So 105 into 14, $1,470 per month. This needs to be beared. This needs to be paired. We are just talking about the licensing types now. We are just talking about the licensing types. So licensing types is, the first licensing types is a pro license. Pro license. We have got around 3 types of licensing here. So the first licensing type is a pro license. So pro license, for every individual, we need to purchase it for around like $14 per user per month. So if we want to share this with 100 clients, so we need to bear this kind of costing for this. And believe me guys, this is just less. It is just, even if we take this 14,000, even if we take this 1,400, is not just sufficient to pay the salary for one employee. It is very much affordable for the company to maintain this and to purchase this pro license. So what will be happening is, so we were talking about the pro license here. We were talking about the pro license. So developers to publish the report, one thing I would like to tell you here is, for this particularly for the pro license, one thing I would like to tell you here is, developers to publish the report to the Power BI service, they need the access to the Power BI service. See, we have developed, see, in this Power BI service, okay, we have opened this Power BI software now. In this Power BI software, I have developed something, I have saved it, but if my initial login is not there, if my login is not there here, I can't share this particular report to the clients. I can't share this with the clients. So in order to do that, I need to have at least a minimum license, that is Power BI license I need to have for this. So even with the clients to whom I would be sharing those reports, even they should have the access to the Power BI service. So both, even the developer and the clients, both of them should have the access to the Power BI license. So in the Power BI service, if you buy the pro license, we can publish each data set with how much size, guys? How much size data set we can publish? Data set, I mean to say here, see data set earlier, the name for the data set, the name for the data set today is semantic model. Semantic model is a name, is the next name for the data set. Earlier, we used to use the name as data set. So whenever I will be talking about any kind of data set, I am just mentioning that as semantic model. I'm just mentioning as semantic model. So I have just, so here, I'll just mention it. I'll just replace this data set with the semantic model. So whenever I'll be talking about the data set, I will be talking about the semantic model. The new name for the data set is semantic model. So the data sources are there. So some data sources are there. On the top of those data sources, we will be making the semantic model. We'll be making the this semantic model in the Power Pivot. And this semantic model, see guys, whenever I'll just show you something before going ahead. Just let me open this. Let me open app.powerbi.com. Just want to show you this Power BI service. So whenever I make any kind of report, I develop any kind of report, we have got some. So whenever I develop any kind of report, and whenever I save it here, and if I publish it from here, there is an option here, publish. Whenever I publish from here, we will be getting two files. We'll be getting two files exactly of the same name. For example, case study result is the name of the developed report. So whenever I publish that report in this Power BI service, I'll be getting two files. One would be of report and another would be a semantic model. One would be a report and another would be a semantic model. Semantic model is nothing but the data set. So we will be getting, whenever we publish anything to Power BI service, we'll get two files out of it. One is report file, another is semantic model file. Of the same name, it would be like this. So whenever the data sources would be there, out of that data sources, whenever we publish, we have got this semantic model. This semantic model, with the help of this semantic model, we can create multiple reports. We can create multiple reports on the basis of this semantic model. So semantic model in the sense data set. Earlier name was data set. Now the name is semantic model. So whenever, if I'm using in the Power BI service, if you buy the pro license, pro license is something like that. This costing would be applicable for the pro license. And pro license is a least license which is provided by the Microsoft, which is provided by the Power BI. So we can publish each data set, which how much size? Maximum of 1 GB. Maximum of 1 GB size it would be. For the pro license, what is the maximum semantic model size is 1 GB. 1 GB. 1 GB is the maximum data set size or semantic model size we can publish. So semantic size of 1 GB means how much data you can load from the source. So how much data from the data source you can load is around 10 GB. Around 10 GB, if we are loading around 10 GB of the data in the data source, we will be getting it converted to the 1 GB. We'll be getting that converted into 1 GB. So data set size is 1 GB means how much data you can load from the source is 10 GB. So in the source, if I'm talking about this, in the sources, we are allowed to take around 10 GB of data. 10 GB of data is more, guys. It is more than sufficient for many of the reports. For many of the reports, it is more than sufficient. So around 10 GB of the data we will be taking here. And with the help of this Power Pivot software, we will be getting it converted to the 1 GB data. This 10 GB data would be converted into 1 GB of dataset, and here we will be publishing this dataset to the Power BI service. So how much is the capacity? How much is the maximum semantic model size is 1 GB. 1 GB around we can use it. So whenever you load 10 GB of data from the source to the Power Pivot, it will compress the data till 1/10 of that source data. Till 1/10 of that source data, it will compress it. It will compress it around 1/10 of the source data. then it will come to 1 GB. So 10 GB would be converted into 1 GB, and this 1 GB will be getting as a maximum dataset size. So this is one of the, for the pro license, for this kind of costing, we are allowed for only a maximum this semantic model size of 1 GB data. 1 GB, 1 GB data, it is allowed for this. So for taking this 1 GB, how much is the data source size is 10 GB. 10 GB we can use as a data source here. So what I mean to say here is, so maximum data set is, so who will be using this? Okay, before that, let's imagine. Okay, let me tell you something here. So let's try to understand here, guys, clearly. So whenever I take any kind of source files from here, from these data sources, I pull those data sources, I extract those files in the Power Query. In the Power Query, if I require some kind of transformations, I'll do that, those kind of transformations required to create these reports and visual, and then I load this data into Power Pivot. So while loading this data into Power Pivot, initially the size was here is 10 GB. Initially the size was here is 10 GB. So this 10 GB size, it would be loaded into this Power Pivot around 1 GB of size. This Power Pivot, what this Power Pivot will do is, it will compress. It is having that feature, it is having that intelligence to compress this data sources of 10 GB into 1 GB. Around 1/10 of data source, it will compress the files. Here we'll get that thing. Okay. Now onto this Power Pivot, whatever 1 GB data we are getting, we are making some visuals out of it. From these visuals, we'll make these visuals here, we'll create the reports here. Now what we'll do with these reports is, this report, see here, Power Pivot is responsible for creating the dataset. Dataset is nothing but the semantic model. This Power Pivot will create a dataset here. This dataset will be used for this dataset. This dataset would be used for this dataset. Means what, guys? This dataset would be a combination of tables and the data model. And the data model is nothing but the relationship between the tables. So those tables and the data model, it will constitute as data set, and this data set will be using for creating the reports in the Power View. So these reports and visuals would be created on top of this data set. So whenever these reports and visuals I would be publishing, I would be publishing to the Power BI service, we'll get two files here. One file would be a report file, another file would be a semantic model or data set file. So we have got two files here. So, okay, we have got these two files. Let me show this here. Two files we have got. Okay. This is a report. Case study result is a report. Okay. This is a case study. It is a report. This report, okay, initially it was refreshed. It was refreshed on what date? Refreshed, I'll tell you. What do you mean by refresh? I'll just tell you. Just bear with me here. I'll just show you. This data set is there. This report file is there. We have published this case study result from the desktop. We have got two files in the Power BI service. Now, if after some time, if there are some changes in the data sources, if some new data is added to this data sources, this new data needs to be communicated, needs to be transferred from this data source to this data set, and from this data set to this report, and from this report to the Power BI service. So what I mean to say here is, whenever after 1 month, after 2 months, whenever some changes would be there, some additions would be there in the data sources, that should be reflected here. That those changes should be reflected here in the report. If the report is showing till date information, if the report is showing 1 month prior the information, it should show me the recent information in the report. Recent information means whatever changes would be happening in the data sources, that should be visible into this report. And in order to get those changes in this report, in order to get the updated information from the data source here, to get this information here is, there is an option here called as refresh or schedule refresh. If I refresh it, whenever I refresh it, this is manual refresh, this is schedule refresh. This is manual refresh, this is schedule refresh. Refresh now is a manual refresh, and this is a schedule refresh. So this refresh, what this refresh will do is, whenever I go on with the refresh, from here, if I go on with the refresh, it will just go to the data sources. It will bring in the updated information, the updated tables into this data set first, and this data set. See, we will be always refreshing the data set, not the report. We'll be refreshing the report, but in another context. But primarily, the data set would be having all this information from the data sources. So we will be refreshing this data set from here. If we go on with the refresh, manual refresh, it will go to the data sources, it will bring in the updated information in the data set, and with the data set it will be shown onto the reports. So this is what as refresh, this is what refresh actually does. So refresh, this option refresh, it is see, this refresh option is only in the data set, in the semantic model. This refresh option would be there. So here if I refresh, this data set would be getting the information from the data sources, and that data sources, those information would be transferred directly to this report, and we'll be getting the updated, up to date information in the report. So this is a manual refresh. So there is a schedule refresh also. This schedule refresh is something like that. We schedule it. We schedule it. Okay, in a week, 2 times this refresh should happen. In a month, this times this refresh should happen. So this is what the schedule refresh is. So why I am just focusing on to the schedule refresh? I am going to focus more on this. We are having extensively session for this refresh and schedule refresh in the Power BI service. But just I am just giving you an idea, because there is a feature called as schedule refresh. Schedule refresh semantic model. So this only 8 times a day it would be allowed for the pro license. For the pro license, only 8 times a day it is allowed to schedule the refresh. So that is a, so these are the rules and regulations just got for this pro license. Some restrictions are there for the pro license as per this amount, because pro license is only paying $14 per user per month. So they can have a maximum data set, they can have a maximum semantic model size of 1 GB. Okay, and the other thing is schedule refresh, they can only do 8 times a day. So only 8 times a day they would be able to refresh the semantic model. So 8 times a day they would be able to do. So that's what the restrictions provided for the pro license. For the pro license. So who will, there is a question, who will go on with the pro license? Who will go on with this pro license? Who will use pro licenses? The companies having less data, the companies having less data, less users. The companies having less data and less users. These are the less users. 105 means these are the less development. So 105 including the developers and clients, these are the less users. So whenever less data would be there, whenever less users would be there, we would be going on with the pro license. See, guys, I am just explaining you the licensing types. No Power BI developer will be involved in the licenses, but I am just trying to make you understand what type of licenses are there. We don't have to do anything with the licenses. These licenses will be taken care by the top level management people, top level management in your company. They will take care of these licensing things. Or admin team or architecture team in the company, they would be more focused on this licensing things. But being a Power BI developer, you should know how many types of licensing types, and with respect to interview also, you should know what do you mean by this pro license, what do you mean by how are the licensing types. This kind of questions would be definitely asked in the interview, guys. So we have seen for less data and for less users, we'll be using this pro license. Now let's focus on to another licensing type. I have already told you there are 3 licensing types. Second license is called as premium license. Premium license. The earlier license was what? Pro license. First license was pro license. Second license is premium license. So premium license. So here minimum Microsoft, what amount they would expect from you is minimum $5,000 per month. They would be expect from you. They would be expecting minimum $5,000 per month from you. So here the maximum semantic model size is around 10 GB. Around 10 GB. Around 10 GB. So I am not talking that with the single data set only you would be achieving this 10 GB. I am not talking on that, because I already told you that on one data set, on each data set, or on each semantic model, we can create multiple reports. So here, what is the maximum semantic model size is? is 10 GB. Earlier, what was the maximum size was 1 GB. 1 GB for Pro and 10 GB for premium license. So here it can have many semantic model. It can have many semantic models. I'm not just talking about one data set. You can have many data sets. You can have many reports. So here, what is the schedule refresh semantic model restriction is we have got 48 times a day for this costing for this premium license. We have got 48 times a day for the schedule refresh. Earlier it was for pro license, it was 8 times a day. So let's imagine here for this premium license, here 50 developers, here 50 developers are there and 450 clients are there. I'm just giving you an example for the premium license. For this here, for premium license, let's imagine we have got around 50, we have got around 50 developers are there and 450 clients are there to whom I need to share the reports. It's a pretty much big company. So total, how many license I would be requiring? 50 developers, 50 and 450 clients. 450 plus 50, 500 license I wanted. So total 500 people need to have a license in this kind of case. So if you buy a pro license, if you buy a pro license for 500, it will be more. Now, if you take pro license for individually for 500 people, if you take pro license, so pro license is around like $14. So $14 into 500, that would be more. So instead Microsoft has given us this kind of capability. They have offered us this kind of price. At this price point, they can give us the license. So if you buy the pro license here, it would be more. So based on the company's relationship, see, companies are not only using the Power BI or only Power BI service or Power BI desktop. They would be also using some kind of other Microsoft products. So based on the company's relationship with the Microsoft can give them 500 license also. They can give 600 license also. They can give 700 license also. It purely depends on what costing, guys, on only the costing of $5,000. So it purely depends on the relationship with the company, what internal relationship they are having, like company and the Microsoft people, because the company would be taking many products of the Microsoft. So they can provide 500 license also, they can provide 600 license also, they can provide 700 license also on the same costing. So whenever more data would be there and more users would be there, what is the preferred option is? Premium license is the most preferred options. Premium license is the most preferred option, guys. So this was the second licensing type. The other licensing type is premium per user. Premium per user. You can also call this as PPU. PPU. Premium per user license. Premium per user license. Here, what is the costing is? It is a costing of around $24 per user per month. $24 per user per month. Here, what would be there? More data and less users would be there. Here, more data. See, the data set would be more. The data set would be same as premium, 10 GB. And scheduled refresh is also same, 48 times a day, 48 times a day. But here you can purchase this for an individual user. For individual user, if you want to go, if here less users and more data is there, if here if here only 25 users or 100 users are there, if you want to take that, so this is a most preferable one for them. $24 per month. So less users and more data is there at that time, will be using this premium per user license. Premium per user license. Rest of the things are same as premium license. There is only like this is meant for users, individual users can purchase this. So let's take a scenario here is like for 100 users and 10 GB data, which one is the most preferable license? For 100 users and 10 GB data, which one is the most preferred, guys? 100 users and 10 GB. Pro license would be the most preferred one. Pro license would be the most preferred one. For 100 users and 50 GB data, for 100 users and 50 GB data, which license would be most preferred? Premium per users. Premium per users. And if we have got only 500 users, premium would be the best option. So these are the things we can see. So these are the licensing types, three types of licensing types we have seen. So let me tell you something here. So whenever you join in any kind of company, being a Power BI developer, you have been hired, okay? So whenever you join in the company as a Power BI developer, clients will just provide you a username and a password to access the Power BI service. It is the client's responsibility to give you this username and password to access the Power BI service. So you have joined in any company as a Power BI developer. Initially, they'll just give you the username and password. The username would be, this is just an example I'm just giving, pranil.savalaki@dell.com. So Dell is a company. So company email ID they'll give. With the help of that, you will be able to log on to the Power BI service. You will be able to log on to Power BI service. So this company people would be giving you, clients would be giving you this username and password. The password can be Windows password. It depends. It depends on the scenario. So how you will be logging on to the Power BI services? What is a URL for that is? So what is the URL to access the Power BI services? So any cloud-based server can be accessed with the help of web browser, guys. This is a web browser. Simply what I'll do is, what is the URL for that is app.powerbi.com. In order to go to Power BI service, I'll just make use of this URL, guys, here. This is a URL. This is a URL. So this is a URL here. So let me just give you a simple thing here. Let me just tell you some important things in the Power BI service. Currently, we are in the Power BI service. See, this is my login ID here. This is my email ID which I have provided here. Okay. Now here, the major thing is workspace. Workspace. You can see here workspaces. If I go to this workspaces, you will see some of the workspaces which are created by me. There is a workspace which is already there, which is called as my workspace. My workspace will be there already in this, and these are the workspaces which I will be creating. So with the help of this, see here, I can create the workspace. So let me see, we are going to cover each and everything in more depth in the coming classes. But let me tell you something. Let me just focus on some of the things on the project flow. On the project flow. See, we have seen what we have seen till now. Introduction to Power BI service we have seen on-premise service, on-premise, we have seen cloud, we have seen licensing types, we have seen log on to Power BI service, how we can log on, what is the URL for that. We have seen this. Now we are going to talk on the Power project flow in Power BI. Project flow in Power BI. So project flow, let me tell you a simple thing. Let me explain you something. Guys, listen to me. Project flow in Power BI. So let's imagine there is a ABC company. There is an ABC company. This company is having some kind of business. They're running some kind of business. That business is creating some kind of business data. In order to analyze this business data, a Power project would be invented. A Power project will start. So when a Power project will start, whenever a business people needs to analyze the business data, then only a Power BI project will start. So in the Power BI project, in this business data will be stored in the data source called a SQL server. Let's imagine that we are just this business people, this ABC company is storing the business data in the SQL server. And this ABC company, they have initiated a Power BI project here. So they have initiated a Power BI project where the data source will be SQL Server. So for this Power BI project, there is a requirement from the client that we need to develop 20 reports. We need to develop 20 reports. We need to develop 4 dashboards, and the duration would be around 6 months. So as there are more number of reports here, so generally people see, it's not a rule that only a team should work on this Power BI project. It's not such kind of rule. Even an individual contributor can also be there. Even a single person can also handle the Power BI project alone, end to end, from the data sources to the delivery of the project to the clients. But if the project is pretty much critical, if it is having more amount of data, if it is having 20 reports, if 4 dashboards are there, and 6 months are there, so what will happen is there would be two guys, two Power BI developer. One would be Like let's see, this Pranil would be one guy which who is having 8 years of experience. 8 years not into Power BI, 4 years into some other tool, and 4 years into some Power BI. So they would be having this kind of email ID. They would be having this kind of mail ID. There is another guy with Shri. Shri would be having 4 years of data. He is having around 2 years of Power BI data, Power BI experience, and here 4 years of experience the Pranil is having. So these two would be handling the project. These two would be contributing towards these 20 reports. They will be developing these 20 reports, 4 dashboards, and they have to deliver it within 6 months. So when we start in any Power BI project, whenever we start with any Power BI project, we need to firstly create a workspace for it. We need to firstly create a workspace for it. Now let me tell you, what do you mean by workspace? So workspace is similar, just a folder. It is just a folder in the Power BI service where we'll keep the complete project related content. So if we have developed these 20 reports and 4 dashboards, where we are going to keep it? We are keeping it in the folder. That folder is a workspace. That folder is a workspace. So whenever we will start a project, whenever we start any kind of project, we need to create a workspace. Now, how to create a workspace? I'm just showing you. See here, we are here in the Power BI service right now. In the workspaces, if we go, there is an option here, new workspace. There is an option here at the bottom, new workspace. If I click on that, we'll just open this new workspace. So what I'll give it a good name here because we are starting a project. So whatever the title of the project, you can give any name, any name. I can give 8 p.m. It is already there, I guess. Project 8 p.m. We'll write around December month. I'll take January month here because I'll take January because December month is already there. So here we can give it as a name, and we can also give some kind of description of this, like what are the information related to project. We can write it here. We can write the information of the project, just 2 or 3 lines we can write it just to give some idea. And this project name, this workspace name, it should be nearer to the project name so that it should have. So here we can apply, and this kind of workspace would be created here. It will be creating a workspace here. We'll extensively see in the coming lectures how to create this workspace and all. I'm just giving you some kind of idea. So this is how it looks. This is how it looks. Whenever I go to this workspaces, I'll see this kind of workspaces. A new workspace is added. Now here currently nothing is there. Currently nothing is there here. Nothing is there. But if we check other workspaces, there are many things. There are many things. Projects are there. Semantic models are there. Like this, it looks. So what I mean to say here is, so whenever we start a project, we'll just create this workspace, and we'll initiate the work, and we'll keep this as a folder. We'll use this as a folder in the Power BI service, and we'll make utilization of this workspace. So let me just explain you quickly. Like in a project, first we need to create a semantic model using the data sources. Okay. So semantic model in the sense data set. So we'll be creating some kind of model in a project. Whenever a project will be starting, we will be creating a semantic model using the data sources. Semantic model in the sense, whenever I publish anything to the Power BI service, I'll get a semantic model file. So that is semantic model I'm talking about here. Using that semantic model as a source, we need to create this 20 reports. So 20 reports is, see how the semantic model would be created. Semantic model would be created by taking the data sources. On the basis of this data sources, we will be creating a semantic model. Semantic model is created with the help of data sources. So using the semantic model as a source, we need to create these 20 reports. And on the like using the reports as source, using these reports as a source, we will be creating these 4 dashboards. These 4 dashboards would be developed on the basis of these 20 reports. And then you need to share these reports and dashboards with the clients. This is what at a high level, this is just a, we'll just practically discuss this in the coming lectures, but I am just giving you a glimpse like what we are going to do whenever we start a project and how we are going to deliver it to the clients. So these are the steps at a high level, guys. So whenever you join a company, whenever a project would be initiated, at the start, what is the first step is the company people or the clients would be giving you some kind of KT sessions called as knowledge transfer sessions. Knowledge transfer sessions. So whenever you join in any kind of IT company, whenever a project is assigned to you, whenever the project is assigned to you, they'll give you some kind of KT sessions. It is called as KT sessions, K for knowledge, T for transfer, knowledge transfer sessions. It would be for three days. The KT can be 3 days. It can be for 1 week, or it can be for 10 days. The duration can vary as per the project, as per the complexity of the project. The duration of this KT session can vary. So here, what is the main purpose we need to do is, being a developer. Being a developer, we should first understand about the client, like who the client is, from where the client is located. Then we'll be focusing on the client business. What kind of client, what kind of business the client is handling, what is the business he is focusing on, what are the products in that business, what are the turnover, what are the profits. Many things would be there. And then they would be giving you some kind of, they would be showing you some kind of, giving you some kind of idea on the business data. What is the business data the client would be having? So understand about your client business data. So in this KT session, these all things would be carried out. Then after that, we need to make, see, they need to make a way to us that where the business data has been stored, in what data source it is storing, what is that data source, whether it is a SQL server, whether it is Excel, or whether it is any other thing. They need to give us idea on this data sources. They need to give us idea on this business data. They need to give idea on the business. They need to also give idea on the clients. We need to understand these things before we initiate any kind of project. So how it is going to work is, data sources, from the data sources, whatever data sources. Let's take here the business data is stored. This data source, let's imagine that this is a SQL server. From this data source, on the basis of this data source, we'll create the semantic model. Now, when the semantic model is created, on this semantic model, we can create multiple reports. On the basis of this semantic model, we'll be creating the 20 reports, multiple reports we can create on the basis of this semantic model. On these reports, we can create the dashboards. On the basis of these reports, we can create the dashboards. And finally, we are going to share those reports and dashboards with the clients. So this is how the journey of a project, right from the data source to the clients, this is how we deal with that. Talking about the content, what we are going to cover in the coming Power BI service sessions. So we will be having around 1 week or more than that, we'll be having sessions on this Power BI service. So what I will be more focusing on, how to log on to Power BI service. Secondly, what is the difference between the my workspace and project workspace? See, guys, it is called as, whenever I click on this Power BI service, whenever I click on this workspace, we have got two things here. This is my workspace, and this is called as project workspace. So whenever I talk about project workspace, so this is the one which I have created, that are called as project workspaces. So for whenever we initiate a project, we'll be creating a project workspace first. My workspace and project workspace. What is the difference between my workspace and project workspace? That I will be clarifying in the coming sessions. How to create a semantic model? I told you here, we'll be creating a semantic model on the basis of data sources. So how to create the semantic model, and how to add that semantic model to the project workspace? How I would be adding this? How I would be adding this semantic model here from the Power BI desktop to this Power BI service? How this semantic model is added here, how this semantic model was initially created, how we can create it, that we are going to study into this in the coming sessions. Then how to create the multiple reports by multiple users. If multiple users are there, how to create that too on the basis of same data set. Sorry guys, here I should not call it as semantic. I should not call it as data set. It should be semantic model, because the name is changed. So how I can create the multiple reports, that too on the same semantic model, how I can create it, how I can create the dashboards by using these reports. What do you mean by refresh? What do you mean by schedule refresh? Schedule refresh, the data set. Data set is nothing but the semantic model. Let me just replace it. This is a semantic model here. I'll just replace it. Okay. How to refresh it? For refreshing, we need a data gateway. That is another software which we need to install. we need to install this software. In order to refresh, we can't go on with refresh without this particular software. So how to download it, how to configure it, how to configure schedule refresh, that we are going to study in depth into this coming sessions. Now after that, when we create all these reports and dashboards, how to share the content with the the reports and dashboards with the end users of the clients, that I am going to demonstrate. What are the ways? We are having direct sharing mode, we are having apps. With the help of apps, we are going to share those reports and dashboard with the clients, that I am going to take in the coming lesson, in the coming lectures. I am going to more focus on team collaboration, how a team would be contributing to an individual project, how they would be using the workspace, how they will be creating the workspace, how they would be adding the members in the workspace, how those members can be assigned the roles. There are different roles in this. There are different roles. If you see in the Power BI service, if you see for this, for example, this is one of the project here. If I see here, if I go to this, sorry guys, not here. Let me go to this. Yeah. So okay, I don't want this. So here, if we go to the workspace, let me go to this workspace. For this we have managed permissions. For this, how the permissions would be given, what kind of permissions would be there, how we can provide access to the people, that all would be taken into considerations. That all I would be demonstrating you in the coming lectures. Manage access. Here we are having different roles here, guys. If I want to add someone, they are having different roles here. If you can see this, we are having admin role, we are having member role, we are having contributor role, we are having viewer role. So this kind of roles, what each role does, what is the responsibility of each role, that I'm going to consider here. Then we are going to focus on row level security. We are also going to see the code deployment. Also, we are going to focus on incremental refresh. So in the coming lectures, I'll be more focusing on this. In the tomorrow's lecture, in the tomorrow's class, not tomorrow, guys, on Monday, we'll be focusing on the difference between my project, my workspace versus the project workspace, and many other things we are going to focus on. These things we are going to consider in the coming session, in the session which we are having on Monday. So I just conclude today's session here itself.